I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And most importantly, thank you for allowing me to come and talk about a couple of the topics that I've been very passionate about and that we've been working on in this state. And they're interrelated. Domestic violence, sex trafficking, those are a couple of topics I would like to talk to you about because unfortunately for us, it's happening here in our state. It's happening in just about every community. I know domestic violence is in every community. Sex trafficking, commercial sexual exploitation of minors and adults is happening. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we're working on in the state, what we've worked on in the past, and how we continue to work to address this issue. And if any of you ever are interested in getting involved, please, you can reach out to my office and we will kind of tap you into the key folks of how you can work with us to address this issue. So let me start with domestic violence. In Nevada, unfortunately for us, we have led the nation in the number of women who are murdered per capita as a result of domestic violence for about 3 or 4 years in a row. Last year, when the study came out, it's for the last year, we were no longer number 1, we were 16th amongst all of the states. But that doesn't, we're moving in the right direction, but we still have a long, long ways to go to address this issue, unfortunately. I chair a domestic violence prevention council. It is made up of folks across the state. They're advocates from nonprofit groups. They're advocates within, we call them systems, so in the prosecutor's office, in the judicial office, they have advocates who work with victims of domestic violence. We have judges who sit on it, DAs, we have the private sector, and victims. And we have people that are really focused to address domestic violence in a couple of the areas, because we know that, first of all, bringing awareness to an issue is the first step in the prevention and intervention of that issue. So we really focus on awareness piece of anti-domestic violence or prevention of domestic violence. So here's what we've done in the past since I've been Attorney General. A couple of the things we've done to bring awareness. We realized that working with our kids, who are future leaders in this community, is really a great step in the prevention of domestic violence or any really type of issue. So we wanted to reach out to some of our kids and figure out how we can tap into an organization where we know kids come together to learn valuable principles and values and maybe our future leaders. So where would you think we would go? We went to the Girl Scouts. And we actually, in Nevada, if you don't know, we have some great Girl Scout chapters, and they're broken down into regions, a northern region and a southern region. And so we started with the Girl Scouts, and we said we want to come in, and we want to teach the girls about domestic violence and put them, like other areas where they learn and get patches for, we want to develop a patch and allow them to get a patch that they can put on their sash and learn about it. And the Girl Scouts are right there. They're fabulous. And the Junior League in Northern Nevada donated money for the patch. The girls created their own patch, designed it, and then the Junior League funded it. And we developed, in conjunction with all of our community members, this patch. And then we brought it down to Southern Nevada, and we did the same thing, used the same patch. And so now the Girl Scouts have a patch and are learning about domestic violence and what it means and the cycle of violence and what the resources are in our state. I will tell you, like many issues we deal with, we do not have enough resources. Very little funding goes to these types of prevention programs. Most of it is generated either through the private sector or filing fees when somebody files or is convicted of a domestic violence action. Some of those fees go towards the domestic violence services in our state. Marriage license, when someone gets married, there's a fee tacked onto that that goes toward domestic violence programs in our state. But it's never enough because unfortunately, it's in every community. So we started with Girl Scouts. We then went to the Boy Scouts. And we did the same thing. And we had a competition. The boys got to design their own patch. And we are rolling that out through now the Boy Scout chapters as well. Why is that important? Because we know a good percentage of the batters are men. Now there are some women who are batters as well, but a good percentage are men. And we also believe in battery treatment programs. I actually chair a committee that oversees the battery treatment programs in the state. It should be an approach where we are actually working to the benefit of the family. And so we look not only to help the victims, but the batterers as well. The challenge we have in our state, particularly in the rural areas, is there's not enough services, there's not enough professionals, there's not enough resources to bring to help individuals that are dealing both on the victim side as well as the battery treatment programs. But we're still doing more. The other educational piece that we did, and we continue to do much of it, but I'm going to touch on one more, was with the cosmetologists. So we partnered with our state cosmetology board. We developed a training curriculum for all the new hairdressers that will go through the academy to learn about domestic violence, because when you think about it, most women have a favorite hairdresser that they know, who gets to know them, gets to recognize maybe signs of bruising or missing hair from a really physical domestic violence situation. And we train them not to actually counsel these women and their clients, but to recognize it and then offer assistance and know where the resources are, or give them, little cards with the resources that may be available in their community. And that has been fabulous. The cosmetology board has been a fantastic partner of ours. Put the posters together, the little cards, the rack cards we call them, and we give those to all of the new cosmetologists throughout the state. So those are ways where we have been working on the prevention. But like I said, there's not enough that we have for resources for victims of domestic violence. There is federal funding that comes through my state, and it comes through the Violence Against Women Act. I don't know if you've been noticed, every so often it gets played as a pawn, a political pawn, unfortunately. Most recently, when they were trying to reauthorize it, it was just that, played and used as a political pawn between the Republicans and the Democrats, unfortunately, because this is a nonpartisan issue. We should all be focused on it, worried about how we do it. We finally got it passed. The money that comes into the state of Nevada comes through my office. I have a grants unit that administers that fund. So we actually put together the application process. Everybody in the state can apply for the funding. We have a review panel that goes through to determine who will receive the fund based on the criteria that's set by the federal government. The most recent statistics I can tell you for the funding, our office received, just in 2013, 1.6 million. Still not enough, but that's what comes into the state to fund both domestic violence, sexual assault. And it's on the law enforcement side as well as the victim services side and the judicial side. Why is that important? Because it all works together. It's a system. In the private sector, the advocates have to work with the judicial system, because quite often these cases go through the judicial system, and then we have to connect with the treatment providers to make sure, as law enforcement moves through its process and goes through the judicial, we're getting the treatment that's necessary for the victims and the batterers. So it's a community, holistic type of approach, a wraparound of services that has to work very well together. I will tell you, unfortunately, not all of our communities work that well collaboratively to address a problem.